You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Welcome back once again to Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Yeah, take two was more energetic, guys. Great job.
Yeah.
What was that?
Sometimes we forget to turn the microphones on. Sometimes we got them facing the wrong way. Sometimes I forget to turn them on.
Another gift.
Yeah.
We only got about 4 minutes into it, folks. So this is take two on Memorial Day weekend. We're a little loose. We haven't done this in a while. I feel like we took some time off for ourselves. A little time apart is healthy. Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Nah, outside, out of mind.
So what are we doing this week? We're doing just news. We're going to make people wait on that Riverdale finale.
Yeah.
That's right, people. Stay tuned.
Hey, I just got to it today anyway, so.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have went and watched it again.
You should have spent more spoilers a week ago
Yeah,
to hurry him up.
Yeah.
Sent me more pictures that I'm like, what? I don't know how to get it.
So there will be zero Riverdale this episode. Do not worry, folks. If you have some sort of Riverdale bias, we're not going to even say the word Riverdale. How many times can I not say the word Riverdale in a podcast without Riverdale content? So we got news coming up. We got entertainment to talk about. We got gaming. We got TV. We got plenty to get to. But I wanted to start with a little bit of sad news and there's some condolences out there. A very long time Pull customer at Asylum passed away last week. So we're going to miss Jason around at the shop. Very sweet man. Very funny guy. His wife Julie out there. Much condolences. And our friend Jesse Starcher from the Source Material podcast, he had a loss in the family this week. The original Jesse, our dear friend. We're thinking about you. We love you, buddy.
He's going to be back, too. He'll be back on our show soon.
Yes.
Yep, we're going to get back here.
I was just on his show, and he mentioned it's finals time. He wants to come back and administer
It's
our
always my favorite show.
quiz.
That's my time to shine right there.
So we'll have him back to do some trivia pretty soon. And by the time this comes out, my episode of Source Material should be out there. Hit up the Radulich in Broadcasting Network. We talked Blood Ties, the 1993 crossover between X-Men and Avengers, celebrating the 30th anniversary of both teams. Kind of the follow-up to Fatal Attractions, where all the good stuff happened.
Oh, these were they had the silver cover and the gold cover stuff. Yeah,
I got on and I wasn't allowed on the Fatal Attractions episode where they pulled all the adamantium out of Wolverine. They mind wiped Magneto. Just
you
awesome, cool stuff. I was not asked. So they're like, hey, come on, talk about the follow-up. I was like, oh, I'm sure there's good stuff.
The one nobody wants to be on.
Yeah, the one with nothing interesting going on. No, it was a good conversation. I was happy to be back on there. So check me out over there on the Radishes and Broccoli Network.
That's right. Talking veggies. Guys, it is gaming season.
Challenge your imagination to come alive and to battle with the creatures of Dungeons and Dragons.
52!
You shot my battleship.
I got a bingo! What do I win?
It's Operation the Wacky Doctor's game where you're the Wacky Doctor. Battery's not included.
I blew it. My turn.
Shall we play a game?
Yes, we've been playing a lot of games in here on the Velvet lately.
I noticed you redecorated the bunker.
That's right. We got yarn wall all over the place playing this detective game, and we played a game called Treasure Island that I got recently that's really good. We played Condottiere. It's a great bluffing game, area control, a lot of fun. But the best game we're playing right now is the reason I have pictures on the wall in here now, is Detective, a modern crime board game. It's from Portal Games. I got it last year at Gen Con, and we hadn't cracked it open because there's so many games and so little time. But got hyped up because there's a lot of gaming going on right now. We got, in like 3 weeks, we got Origins and Columbus Gaming Convention, and then the beginning of August, we have Gen Con in Indianapolis, and we just signed up for the events we're going to do there, and a buddy of mine's going to get to go for his first time to that. So
this is the pinnacle. These are the two pinnacles.
These are the two biggest gaming conventions in the United States, and they're both within drive to us, which is pretty great. So anyway, we've just been hyped up playing games, so we started playing this, and
folks out there, he bought Yarn.
Yeah,
I had Yarn.
Oh, okay.
Because the conversation was Nick. We started opening it up and realized what it was. I was like, I have Yarn. I said I have good news and bad news. I have Yarn. I set it on the table, and he said, "What's the bad news?" I was like, "It's red and our wall's red." I was like, "But I have a dry erase board. We're hanging this baby up. We're tied to people together."
I guess I never think about that in all the detective movies and shows, that somebody had to go out and buy the Yarn.
Yeah. That's true.
Yes. I can't remember what I bought it for.
I'm just glad my mug shot's not up there.
Yeah. Oh, I've still got a stack. You're in here. But anyway, this game is great. You can have any number of people play it. I mean, I think it'll take probably up 6 or 7 people, but we discovered it really as a 2-person game, because I think you get too many people involved, you might be too many minds. You need to just kind of work it out together, and they just give you a lot of clues. That it's integrated with you use your computer, and they have a website which is it's your database at the police station, and Nick would run that, and I'd run, get these clues. We'd work it out, take a bunch of notes, and hang up the pictures, and figure out who people were, and tie them all together. And there's a lot of stories from the past and things. It's just really fun. But I mean, I played like that Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, which is kind of like this, but this blows it out of the water.
So you say you're still playing it. Is it one long experience, or are there several shorter cases?
The box contains 5 cases. We've played 2 of them, and each of them took 4 hours because, we take our time. You could do it faster. But we're really enjoying it. So we just take our time, and we found out that the second case has a lot to do with the first case, and it's all going to be tied together over one huge case.
With Yarn.
Right, tied together with Yarn, that's right.
Yes.
Like, Jordan, what did I have you do when you walked in here?
There was a magnifying glass sitting at my chair.
A actual magnifying glass.
There was some sloppily written handwriting he wanted me to decipher, and I was horrible at it. So
he couldn't figure it out either, but the last guy that worked on this case, he left some random note written on the back of his police report, and then he got hit and run. But obviously, I think that was on purpose. Somebody killed him. He got a little too close. So I've been looking both ways before I cross the street.
You're in too deep.
Anyway, we're having a blast. Tomorrow we're playing it all day, doing at least one case, and we just can't get enough of it. So this is a great game. Or if you look up there, Jordan, I already got the sequel, L.A. Crimes.
Ooh.
We're going to L.A. when all this is over.
Parental advisory.
Yeah. I'm Sonny, and he's Tubbs. You don't know yet, but we're taking Miami to L.A., and we're getting Sonny in the California sun. It's going to be great. Anyway, I don't know if they're making more sequels, though, because I don't know how big of a hit it was, but I'm definitely going to be talking to him at Gen Con. Say, keep it up, because I think it's Nick's favorite game now. Anyway, moving on. We're all signed up for all our conventions, and we're psyched, so you're going to be hearing about all kinds of games over the next few months. So
that's what we're here for.
Let's get to what we've been watching. Let's get to some TV.
Oh, Dolores.
What the hell is a sticky maple?
Run, Barry, run! That's what I do. I dream, and I know things.
Go get him, Supergirl.
Well, what does this guy look like, anyway?
Oh, he's a little guy, kind of funny looking.
Aha. In what way?
Oh, just in a general kind of way.
Exterminate!
Little pig, let me in.
These violent delights have violent ends.
That's what she said.
Movie.
We're in the season finale.
It's that time of year.
Yeah. Most shows are wrapping up here, so what do we want to...
Well,
I have a quick question. Did you guys watch Barry? Any of you watch Barry?
No, I've it's been on in the background as I do stuff, or like it comes on after Game of Thrones. It has, and
it's great,
but I haven't really.
It's really good. Just finished the second season of that. So anybody out there watching Barry, you know it's good. But I don't want to spoil it for these guys if they ever watch it.
Yeah, Bill Hader.
He's great. He's just great in it, and Henry Winkler's great in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just a good show. 2 solid seasons.
Yeah, and then Jordan and I were just talking about. I told him I finished Flash on the CW finally, and because he's been telling me, "Hey, Flash is good again." And
don't put the pressure on me.
No, I agree though. I thought it was good again. I think for me having a little flash break there, if you will, and then coming back to it kind of helped me out. Flash fatigue was over.
It's definitely 22 episodes is a lot now.
It's a lot.
It seems like a lot, especially when you only have one villain you're fighting the whole season. I would prefer they kind of broke them up into 2 shorter seasons or whatever. How far back do we want to go? The last one we talked about was episode 9.
I would probably start about whatever episode like Godspeed showed up.
Episode 18, you mean?
Yeah.
These notes. I just want credit for the notes. Okay. I don't care if we talk about it. I just want to acknowledge the extensive notes I take.
Yeah.
Although I have to mention episode 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time we met the young rogues.
Oh yeah,
the Silver Ghost has this. We learned the meta. It was technology this year. Technology could be metamorphosized or whatever. And that episode was co-written by Sterling Gates, who was a longtime Flash writer for DC. It was the episode where Barry couldn't stop vibrating.
Yeah,
and he had to just go sit. I think they just wrote him off the episode.
Yeah,
he was reading. He was reading Mick's book from Legends. He was reading "Uncaged Desire" by Mick Rory. But that episode had a Buckaroo Banzai reference.
Yep.
Because I had a supercar that could go through stuff. It ran on it had a display that ran on emojis or something. It was like bombs. Yeah, so I have a bomb emoji and it would blow stuff up. So it was very silly. But at that point, the detective work going on there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the villains salutes somebody, and the quote was, "That salute? She's obviously military." They figured out who she was because she saluted someone, and only someone trained extensively by the military would know how to salute. So yeah, then we followed Cicada the whole season. He's got this dagger. This is Chris.
American Pie.
Chad.
Michael.
Yeah, whatever. Chris Klein. Cicada.
Yes.
With a very deep voice.
Yeah, I didn't care for him much, but whatever. As an actor in this show, I didn't care. It was ho-hum.
We had Goldface, the villain.
Not from Threat Level Midnight, though.
I assume that's a real DC villain. A guy with a gold face.
Yeah, I think Michael Scarn's... I think it was Golden Face.
Golden Face,
yeah.
Right.
You have to let us go, Golden Face. We have families.
Ha! This is gonna show them that I mean business. See ya.
We had Gorilla Grodd fought King Shark.
Yeah. Which, that's a pretty cool thing right there in itself.
Jesse L. Martin was missing for half the season.
Yeah, he took some sort of medical leave from the show for a while.
Because his absence was pretty noticeable.
Yeah. But he came back strong in the end.
We had Acid Master, another Z-list DC hero, I'm sure. Godspeed, which is kind of a recent villain.
Yeah.
So we get Grace, his daughter, that Cicada's been trying to protect. We learn later that she is a meta herself. Mm-hmm. At one point, they reference something about the timeline, and they say from Anthro to Commandy, which is a good pull from DC history. Good. Anthro, the cave boy, to Commandy, the last boner. We had the Icicle came back. Caitlyn's dad tried to turn the whole family into ice metas. We had time travel shenanigans. Nora was hanging out with Thawne in the future. We learned that was her big secret.
Yeah, this was very much Nora's season, I thought, And
she was good.
She was good. I liked her. Very believable that, Barry and Iris together, that would, be the product there. And they did a justice with her, Barry disappearing that we knew about back in season 1. And her life, without a father, and how strained her relationship was with her mother. And then Iris we find out later that Iris had implanted a chip in her to take away her meta powers, her speedster.
Which we had a good argument, was that for her benefit or not? And even Iris, who is usually the weak link on the show for me, like this season, she had some pretty strong moments too. Some crazy went down at the G. Simone and Associates architecture firm. Obviously, a Gail Simone reference. They called her. We got Grace from the future. Just when we thought we had defeated Chris Klein's Cicada. She came back from the future, and they started calling her Cicada 2.
Yeah, it was,
Like, guys, I think Cicada 2 is robbing a bank or whatever. It's like, it's okay to read that, but it's weird to hear it.
But,
So we had a female Cicada, more time travel shenanigans. So we find out eventually the big twist, because we didn't know. Thawne seemed like a nice guy all year. Imprisoned, seemed like he was trying to help Nora.
We should know by now, though.
Find out the dagger in the future is the only thing keeping him in prison that drains people's power.
He has it implanted. What's the word? Implanted in his chest.
So he convinces Nora to go back and destroy the dagger, which, as we know, the rules of time travel, the non-Avengers division, that would change the future. It doesn't happen, though, and a lot of stuff happens, and then it ends. But it ends... The Crisis, the new famous newspaper from the first season, Flash disappears in Crisis. The date zips back to 2019.
Right.
They didn't avert the Crisis. The Crisis is on its way.
Sped it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the episode where Nora gets Ragdoll and the Weather Witch and Queen Bee together to, work with her. Of course, they... in the end, all turn on her, basically. But that was a really good episode. And the season as a whole, it was solid, I thought. I thought it was a good comeback from last season. Kind of dipped a little bit for me. But yeah, and all these CW shows are now leading into Crisis on Infinite Earths.
None more so than Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, boy. What a great show. This season has been tailor-made for me.
We have 8 episodes we haven't talked about.
Okay.
So let's give each their due time.
Start with 18.
We went to 1961 Mexico City. We had a whole episode about Lucha Libre.
Yep.
There's a Wolfman wrestling a luchador. We found out Hank Sr., who is Biff Tannen.
Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson is experimenting.
He was great in the show.
Creatures. He was so good. I thought, when this season ended, I thought he needs to be in more stuff.
Yeah.
He always has little cameos and stuff. He deserves more screen time. So in that episode, Mona, the girl they'd hired to kind of keep track of all the creatures, she got turned into a wolf creature.
Yeah, she falls in love with the... I can't think of what his name was. Kunani. And then he accidentally scratches her, and she becomes whatever he is.
Then episode 10 is the most important episode. It's set in 1973. They've kidnapped Richard Nixon, taken him into an RV, and they're all headed to vacation at
Walt Disney World. Not only that,
in matching t-shirts
that say Barnes Family Vacation. I was truly in heaven. I was like, is this really happening right now? How, like, are you making this show just for me? Because I totally believed that at that moment. Nixon, an RV, headed to Florida. It was insane.
And the next episode
cockroach, or what was it? A cockroach?
Some kind of truth bug.
Yeah, it kept flying into people's noses.
You couldn't tell a lie if the bug was attacking you. The next episode was set in 1802, where they go hang out with Jane Austen.
Yeah.
And the Hindu god of love shows up, and it turns into the last 10 minutes are a Bollywood musical.
Yeah. Which was very Legends.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Why not?
I rolled my eyes a little bit, but I'm like, all right, just roll with it. At that point, we reveal the big villain this year. We've dealt with all these creatures, and we've revealed the demon Neron, who has a history with John Constantine. And then we head back to Barnes territory, where Ava is trapped in purgatory mattress shopping.
Yeah. You gotta pick out the perfect match. I'm serious. How, like, do I have an implant in my brain that they're feeding off of? Like, this is my life right here.
So, yeah, this is the character Ava, head of the Time Bureau, very uptight. Once everything's scheduled, her girlfriend Sarah is more loosey-goosey and just goes with the flow. And this was a good episode with their relationship. And like, she goes into purgatory to save her, and they have to kind of figure out what, is this a long-term thing? Yeah. But I wrote this down because it was so...
Well, it wasn't just the mattress shopping, though.
It was like a whole superstore.
Yeah, it was a whole retail store that they couldn't find. They had to find their way out of. But like, the very first task was putting together a bookshelf. Now, you may not have known this, but I worked for a retail company for a long time. Was in charge of the furniture department. I was the manager there, and I spent 15 years putting together furniture just like this. And I was like. And as soon as Sarah throws the instruction booklet to the side, I'm like, oh no, I know how this ends. This is not going to be good.
But yeah, as they get through these tasks and get further through purgatory, they have to decide what their future is. And at one point, they're talking about, do you really need me? Do I need you? And one of them says, I don't need anyone. I want you. Like, I was like, that. What a insightful thing to say. It's not about, these are two strong characters that get by fine on their own.
Right.
They don't need someone to make them better. They want someone by their side. I was like, that, for a silly show like this, that was so well done. And of course, Nate turns around and says, my dad made a deal with a demon to open a theme park. I'm not sure how much more of this I can take. So we learned the big Hayworld.
For Nate Haywood.
Biff is opening a theme park based on magical creatures.
Right. Beware the unicorn.
Next episode, 1933, in the Explorers Club in the Arctic. They go undercover as Henry Jones Jr. and Marion, wearing the costumes. Very well done.
If you're not watching Legends, what are you doing with your life right now? I mean, come on.
And Mick got invited to Romanticon 2019 to read his novel.
And he has, what's her name? The changeling.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. He has Charlie impersonate she plays the part of the actual author. And, of course, the romance novels and all. He's the hottest romance novel author out there. And all these women at this convention they're basically doing a panel and asking her, a Q&A session all about the books that she has never read or written or anything. And finally, Rory has enough of it and, lets the cat out of the bag. And
they're okay with it.
Yeah.
They accept Rory for who he is.
The book was just that good.
But while they're all doing that, Sarah is trying to impress Ava by reading the book for her book club, which I froze the screen and it was The Girl Who Got Murdered Too Much was the book they were reading. And she found that she gets the audiobook and listens to it at 2 times speed.
Jesse.
Using the Jesse method to get through this book. That episode, Ray gets possessed by Neron, and he's got an evil hand.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of Evil Dead references. He says that's not groovy at all. So he's attacked by his own evil hand.
Yeah, Ray really didn't have a whole lot else to do this season. I mean, he had his thing with Nora Dark romance there happening. But other than that, they're just like, well, let's just... Ray, you play the villain guy.
So yeah, they bring Nora back. Nora joins the Time Bureau. Next episode, the Wave Rider gets trapped in the Donner Party pass. Constantine's in 55 AD at Stonehenge, where he meets one of his ancestors. And Tabitha, the fairy godmother, returns.
Yes.
Bippity boppity boo.
Very much.
So the next episode, I forget, she gets attached to Gary somehow.
Yeah.
His cursed nipple.
Yeah.
He wishes to get his nipple back that the unicorn bit off.
Who thought that would be such a plot point?
So Gary keeps getting wishes from the godmother in the next episode, and of course he just wants to be part of the group.
Yeah.
John Constantine is in hell, and hell's weird. It's just a weird... It reminded me of like South Parkersburg.
Yeah.
It was just sort of dilapidated buildings and stuff.
Yeah, it was like a nicer Gotham City.
So Palmer, while he's possessed by this demon, he starts this app, and the fine print of it will steal your eternal soul.
Right. So if you download the app and accept the terms...
Right. So he's going to get all these souls. All the magical prisoners gets released, and Nora gets the power of the fairy godmother.
Yeah.
So then we get to the finale. There's a panic over all these monsters escaping, so everyone wants to download this app. The app is to help you find the monsters. I don't think I said that. Ray's in hell playing Jenga with Vandal Savage.
Yeah, nice little cameo from season 1 there.
They're getting ready to open Hayworld, and they want some superheroes to help them pitch this to the general public.
Gotta make a commercial.
But the CW trinity of Supergirl, Flash, and Oliver
Arrow.
Queen said hard pass. We should have done the crossover. Which is what they said during the last crossover.
When Legends was
the Legends said hard pass.
We'll
so,
we'll sit this one out.
They didn't help them during the crossover, so of course they're not going to come help them open a theme park.
But you know the only thing missing from that big show of yours? Music.
There is a young cowboy who lives on the range. His horse and his cattle are his only companions.
Do I have something on my face?
Did you just sing? James Taylor?
I don't sing.
So yeah, at the end of all this, they save the day, of course. James Taylor plays a little part singing Sweet Baby Jane.
Yeah, I was surprisingly impressed by that little moment. So we have Nate. Nate basically sacrifices himself, okay, for Ray and well, for everybody, I guess. And who, you know, the spirit of Tom Wilson sitting up in the rafters there, his dad, and Nate joins him, and he starts with Mick and, you know, possesses him basically and starts to sing, you know, little Sweet Baby Jane. They get the whole, everybody there, they all get to join in to bring Nate back.
So when the past gets changed, Zari disappears.
Yeah.
But her brother shows up in her place. Interesting.
And nobody remembers.
No. History has been changed. The Monitor was there.
Yeah.
Eating some popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
So we know this is leading to the crisis. And then at the very end, Astra the young girl Constantine failed to save many years ago from hell. She frees the souls of history's most evil people. So obviously that's the setup for next year.
Right.
We're going to have Joseph Stalin and
Genghis
Charles Manson
Khan.
and Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
They're all going to be freed, so I assume that's where we're headed. Have we been picked up for next season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a great year. I loved it. It was all about me. And stuff I love.
And 16 episodes. It was...
Yeah.
Everyone was kind of to
no
the
waste.
point. Yeah. Good job, CW.
Yeah. Watch some Legends.
And each one I watched streaming so that it counted.
Oh.
So somebody knows I downloaded that episode. I'm not a Nielsen family, but I'm downloading the Legends.
You got anything else TV?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, are you guys watching Jeopardy?
I turned it on to just see this.
This
dude.
guy.
James Holzhauer, I think is his name. He just yesterday or whatever, he got over 2 million.
I saw somewhere he has already started donating to charity.
Yeah.
From his winnings. So.
Yeah, he's come close a couple times to losing though. So I mean, he is definitely beatable, but 90% of the time though, he's blowing him out of the water. Like it's you look down for a second, look up, boom, he's got 20,000 more than that.
I gotta tell you though, I don't like newfangled Jeopardy. I don't like jumping around the board. I don't like immediately going for the 600 and the 800.
He starts at the top. Yeah, I mean at the bottom. I mean, he goes right to the thousands.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, he's the reason he's doing it is just to, first off, he jumps around, throws them off.
That started a couple years ago. I remember one of the big champions started doing that, and people are like, "What's he doing?" I get the strategy, but I don't like it.
Oh well. I'm surprised. I don't know why they did. I thought you were saying it wasn't legal. I'm like,
no, you can do whatever you want, but it just doesn't make sense because wouldn't you want to start? But okay, you want the double jeopardy, right? But wouldn't you want to build your bank a little bit before you get double jeopardy? Why do you want that first thing when you have no money in your bank? And B, the questions are harder. The questions get harder the further down the board you go. So if it's like the elements, and you do the hardest one, nothing's been eliminated. If question 1 was oxygen, and that you're at the very bottom question for 2,000, you don't know that's been taken off.
He's very confident in knowing it in the first place, and he knows. It seems like the daily doubles and stuff are up on those higher ones. You're right. He doesn't have a bunch of money when he does it, but he usually has a couple thousand at least anyway because he's only answered really high questions. He just throws everybody off. He gets all those, gets the daily double almost always. Doubles always in the first and single Jeopardy or whatever it's called. He always bets it all. And I mean, usually he's got 20,000 after the first round. Everybody's like, "What happened?" We just got run over. I got hit by a truck. But it's pretty neat to watch how good he is. He said, what did they say? He wanted to be this last episode. He was running out of things to ask him, when he goes and talks to him. And he said, Alex said something about, Moneyball, the movie Moneyball. Because this guy's a professional gambler, was what he was doing for a living or whatever. And he's like, you like sports? He's like, you could get a job doing something like Moneyball. He's like, giving statistics and things. He's like, I thought that would be what I do until I realized how palatable a career Jeopardy contestant is. and Alex was like, ooh, they're pretty funny together. But anyway, it's worth it. I'm definitely going to watch it till this guy's gone. The other thing I want to talk about that I saw on TV is the best thing I've watched in a while. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I know it's because it's nostalgia, and I am older than you guys, and I don't even know if you even knew it happened. But this past week, they did a tribute to All in the Family and the Jeffersons.
Hi, I'm Norman Lear. When we introduced Americans to the Bunkers and the Jeffersons, people weren't used to TV shows dealing with issues like racism and sexism. But we thought humor was a way into people's hearts and it did get millions of people talking. The language and themes from almost 50 years ago can still be jarring today, and we are still grappling with many of these same issues. We hope tonight will make you laugh, provoke discussion, and encourage action. There is so much more work we must do in this country we love so much.
From the Sony Pictures Studios in Culver City, California, this is live in front of a studio audience.
Yeah, what was this?
Amazing.
They remade an episode.
They redid an episode of each, did not change a word. They just did the actual scripts. Mm-hmm. Norman Lear, who created these shows and is just an awesome creator, changed television history. Just amazing what he created with those shows. And he's 90 some years old, 96 or something, and he was there. And Jimmy Kimmel hosted it.
Yeah.
And they sat there and watched all these stars reenact these episodes, and it was so great because I saw all the episodes of those shows back in the day. But I mean, if you've never seen All in the Family or The Jeffersons, oh my gosh, they changed television. Actually had people talking about real things that happen in families and racism, and Archie Bunker was a big racist bigot and didn't realize it, and it was a lot of fun. Anyway, the people on it, like, oh my gosh, Woody Harrelson was Archie Bunker, Marissa Tomei was his wife, and first off,
Edith.
Yeah, first off, I was totally caught off guard. I'm super nostalgic for theme songs anyway. We've talked about that a little bit, but that particular theme song is Those Were the Days. Mm-hmm. They would re-record it every year. They'd sit down at the piano and re-sing it for that season. And I didn't know they were going to do it. And they said that it was the first thing they did before they went to commercial is Woody Harrelson and Marissa Tomei sang the song at the piano, and it made me tear up. Like, it was so, because those were the freaking days when this show was on.
Man, how old are you?
I'm telling you, man. I'm sure I was watching reruns of
them. I remember
that came out the year I was born. It started.
I remember them being in reruns for years on TBS.
But it was just so good.
Mister, we could use a man like Hoyman over again.
Didn't need no welfare state.
Everybody pulled his weight. G.R.O. LaSalle ran great.
Those were the days.
Because Carol Connor was a notorious liberal, but playing a racist. And anyway, do you guys even remember the characters from them? Michael Stivic that Rob Reiner played,
Meathead,
was Ike Barinholtz. The Sally Struthers daughter was Ellie Kemper.
Oh, okay.
And it was a crossover episode, the first episode.
Because the Jeffersons were a spinoff.
They were their neighbors, yes. Yeah. They were a spinoff. And George Jefferson would you didn't see him right off the bat. He would be outside yelling or whatever. So this was the episode they were remaking, was when you see him and he comes into the Bunker's house. And, gosh, what's his name? Played him. Django. I can't think of his. Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx?
Yeah, Jamie Foxx played George Jefferson. And it was live. They did this live, which was awesome also.
In front of a television audience?
Yeah. But I mean, we don't have live shows anymore, and they did it, and he kind of messed up, but he handled it well and everything. But it was so great. I'm trying to think who else played people. Anthony Anderson,
from Blackish,
played George's brother, and anyway, Wanda Sykes played Wheezy. Mm-hmm. But then they did an episode of the Jeffersons. Of course, they were still in there, and they had you remember they had like the British one neighbor guy that acted weird. That was I'll never remember everybody's name. Guy Ned from Ned Ryerson.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I can't remember everybody's name. I should have wrote him down.
He's on the Goldbergs now. This is good.
He's on everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, the couple. Remember the mixed racial couple?
Yeah.
This was like one of the first.
Neighbors, yeah.
Yeah, Tom. And that was Will Ferrell and Kerry Washington.
Okay.
It was so good. It was great. And in between, when they got ready to sing Moving On Up, they stopped and Jennifer Hudson sang it. And she was amazing. Like the whole thing was just amazing. You could tell they all were so proud to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. At the episode of the Jeffersons was an early one, and they were hiring their maid, which was Florence was her name.
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, when they go to, she comes from the agency to apply, it was her.
It was actually
it was the actress Marla Gibbs. She's like 80 some years old, and her and Norman Lear are still with it. I'm sure somebody out there knows what the hell I'm talking about. But anyway, it was great. If you used to watch those shows and you have any love for these old sitcoms back in the golden age of sitcoms, it was pretty awesome. I wish they did more stuff like that.
Stephen Tobolowsky.
Yeah, Tobolowsky. It was great.
Cool.
So I was glad I didn't miss that.
Well, we're not in the golden age of sitcoms now, but there was one just premiered and ended. It was 6 episodes long on ABC. I wanted to mention Bless This Mess. I knew nothing about this show.
That looked terrible. I didn't watch it.
I didn't know anything about it until somebody said, "Oh, that's on tonight." And it is co-created by Elizabeth Meriwether, who was the creator of New Girl, which is one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. The 7th season just dropped on Netflix, so all 7 seasons are on Netflix. And it's Lake Bell and Dax Shepard. And Lake Bell is the other co-creator. She has written and directed some movies and things. Also very, very funny person. Had co-stars Ed Begley Jr., Pam Grier, David Koechner, Jim O'Hare, Jerry from Parks and Recreation. So these are New Yorkers who inherit a farm in Nebraska. And they have a postcard of this farm he remembers from his childhood, this idyllic, wonderful rural community. They get there, and obviously it's falling down. The first scene had a money pit.
I was just going to say,
falling
it
through the
looks
floor.
like the money pit.
Yeah, they got out of the way in the first scene. They fell through the floor of the place. It's been renewed for a 2nd season. So this one was just 6 episodes. It took a little bit to find its footing, but it just like New Girl, it's really sharp in the dialogue. They have really good chemistry, and like they're building up this cast of oddball neighbors and friends and things. So I think the 2nd season will be even better, but I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Guys, you remember the first season of Riverdale when it was only 13 episodes?
That one was worth the pace.
I took a BuzzFeed quiz yesterday on the first season of Riverdale. It says, "What do you really remember about that season?" Luckily, I recently made a Riverdale game, so I did pretty good on that.
BuzzFeed, I got 6,000 screenshots for you.
This show has changed a lot from the first season.
Guys, we're not talking about Riverdale.
Oh,
that's what I was thinking.
We just slip right in there. Can't help it.
You did it.
Anything else, TV?
Streaming.
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What?
Don't cross the streams.
Islands in the stream, that is what we are.
Cross the streams.
I just want to mention to everybody Doom Patrol. Finished it today. The season is wonderful. It's finally getting some traction with critics and reviewers and comic superhero fans out there. Jordan shared an article the other day with us naming it the best superhero show out there.
Of the decade.
Decade. I have to agree.
And there's a lot of superhero shows.
Yeah.
We cover them.
Yeah.
We cover half of them.
Yeah. I've said it before. I do love Legends of Tomorrow. I think it is wonderful and often made just for me. Doom Patrol is something you have not seen before on your television.
I agree.
It is so original and out there and strange and wonderful, and I'm convinced genius. It takes you all over the place, up and down, and the character development is uncanny with these characters, and the writing is wonderful. If you get the DC Universe app, it is totally worth it. Just binge a week of Doom Patrol if that's what you need to do. The first episode has actually been released on YouTube. If you want to check out for free, check out the first episode of Doom Patrol. The pilot's out there. It's just wonderful. Love it. Brendan Fraser making the comeback.
Now, did it end in a cliffhanger, or does it know if we're getting more of them?
It has been, as long as the DC Universe app survives, we're going to get a season 2. Swamp
But
Thing's...
it wrapped up the story okay, though?
Yeah, it did. It was, it wrapped it up fine and left just a little bit there to lead into the season 2. But man, I'm telling you guys, it's wonderful. It's a ride. Outrageous.
You're trying to get on the poster.
Oh,
you had all these quotes here about it.
That should be our goal.
Yeah, it should be like uncanny Cliff from the Ka-Pow Pop Culture Podcast. So, anybody see any of the Twilight Zone? CBS.
The first one was free on YouTube.
Ah, yes. I've watched, I think, 4 episodes, and I just can't get into it.
So you subscribe to the CBS
All Access, yeah. Anyway, I've got a couple episodes I haven't watched yet, and I'll get to it eventually here. But it's good enough, but it's not. I was hoping for something more. It's just not blowing me away.
Classic Twilight Zone is available, I believe, on Hulu.
Oh yeah,
I ran across Netflix.
Yeah, it's
Netflix
everywhere.
too, yeah.
Nick just watched a whole bunch of those, but he had watched looked up what were all the best episodes, watched all them, and then we started watching this because he's like, I love that show. Well, this isn't like all the best episodes that ever were, you know.
That's we're a little spoiled in today's world.
Yeah,
getting to pick and choose.
What are you watching on streaming?
My free year of Netflix is done.
Uh-oh.
All right, when I signed up for my cable package, I got a free year. Downgraded to the one screen plan to stretch that year a couple extra months. And this year I had like $5 left on they just put it in there as a gift card basically.
And now somebody just calls and tells you what happens on the show.
Call it the podcast method. So this month I had to pay. It was only like half. I paid maybe half a month for Netflix. I'm like, okay, I'm paying now. I better start watching this stuff.
Yeah.
So I did the math, and if I keep it one more month after this, I can watch Stranger Things season 3 before I cancel it.
That's really what I'm holding on to.
Yeah, I'm gonna get through 1st of July, Stranger Things. So between now and Stranger Things, I got about 5 series I want to watch.
Did you guys watch the new Stranger Things season 3 trailer with Billy?
No.
Billy, Billy the lifeguard guy.
I saw the one that him walking around.
Oh my gosh, Billy! I can't wait. Can't wait. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, so I watched Daredevil season 3.
Yeah, and
good.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
So I'm within a year, right? That wasn't that long ago.
Right, you're doing great.
All right, good.
Yeah.
And the Lonely Island, did we see that?
I watched half of it.
They had something drop a seat, like much like Beyonce or whatever. They did a secret album drop on Netflix.
That must have been part of, because I watched this Oakland Nights video thing today.
That's what it is. But first, I want to point out a huge pet peeve of mine. When I find out something like that has been released, it's advertised all over the place, and I go into my Netflix and it's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I had to go looking for it.
I have to search for it. Like, that is ridiculous. Netflix does not... What are they doing?
I said, I've had Netflix for more than a year. They don't know me at all. I was scrolling around like the documentary section.
It's like you don't even know.
And there is a documentary about Kurt Russell's dad starting a minor league baseball team.
Yeah, Battle
and it was like,
baseball.
yeah, it was amazing. And it said like percentage you'll like this. It was like 65%. I was like, Netflix, you don't know me.
Do you ever like anything? Do you ever?
No, I never do. I don't want him to know my secret thoughts.
Like, good, you only 68% know me.
He puts
I'm an
the
enigma.
tinfoil hat on before he fires up the.
I'm a Netflix enigma. But no, that was the Lonely Island presents the unauthorized Bash Brothers Experience. Basically a comedy concept album, just half an hour long. And this was, I don't love Lonely Island. They're funny. I like
Lonely Island.
The digital shorts and stuff they did on SNL. But I wouldn't say I'm a fan. But this hit me right in the sweet spot of that late 80s, early 90s baseball era that was when I was full in collecting baseball cards. Yeah. Just a huge baseball fan. So Andy Samberg played Jose Canseco.
And I'm Mark.
Akiva Schaffer played Mark McGuire. And they had actual like A's logos and uniforms. Like, how did they get permission from Oakland to do? Because it was very raunchy.
Yeah.
And the jokes, like, they were making fun of these guys. So I was like, how did they get the rights to use all these logos?
Step into my crib, everything smell like cool water. And if you come in the mine, you know it's Dracar Noir. Now have a seat.
But a lot of, it was basically just a bunch of music videos put together, but in a very silly way. Kind of that self-aggrandizing era of baseball. Everything was larger than life, and just we bashed our forearms together when we hit a home run and that kind of thing.
I watched about half of it, and I was like, "Am I still watching this? This is not blowing me away." So I was hoping for more, I guess. I watched something on Netflix. We don't usually get very sporty around here, but we all enjoy sports. Yeah. I guess we just never talk about it really on here. But I watched one of my favorite documentaries is Senna, which is that the last guy to die racing F1 about 20 years ago. It's a really good documentary about him. But anyway, I like a little Formula One, and there's one on there called Formula One Drive to Survive, which it basically just covers the 2018 season, and it is a great behind-the-scenes documentary of showing these guys racing, and you basically learn I always burnt through all the episodes one night, and you just find out who every driver is, find out all about the teams, how it works, and everything. Really, it's a real good tutorial, but also very entertaining. It's just about the people, because I said, like, people that complain about sports and it annoy me, but sports for me takes the drama of just that we enjoy in any show, and it creates this drama. It takes all the best people at something, puts them in a field, court, racetrack, whatever, and just lets the drama unfold by them having to try to beat each other. Anyway, it was a great documentary, and I've watched every F1 race every other week for the last month and a half since I watched this. So I was like, in a few hours, I learned who everybody was, how it works, and I was like, this is really good. So I'm hooked. It was definitely worth checking out if you like racing. I can't get it. I never had any interest in NASCAR, but I've always liked F1 and like autocross, where all the exotic cars and things like that. Anyway, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I watched, sticking with Netflix, I watched Dead to Me.
Now that one I get ads for every time.
Yeah, it was all over, so I was just like, okay, I'm going to watch it. It had James Marsden.
Netflix knows Cliff.
Yeah. They know me.
He's folding laundry, everybody. He's going to watch this.
That's right. That's exactly what happened. I don't think it's just Netflix.
We all know.
So yeah, had Westworld's James Marsden, starred Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini. I like her. But it was really good. It's about Christina Applegate is a recently widower, and she's joined this more or less grieving group from a local church and meets Linda Cardellini's character, and it's got a pretty big twist in it there, and how Linda Cardellini relates into it, and good characters. That was pretty much my takeaway. Like the characters were thought out. I liked how they related to each other. James Marsden was really good, and just for a TV show, a little darker take. The kids in it were pretty good. So the other thing, my wife and I sat down and watched, in between watching episodes of Dead to Me, we watched a movie called Wine Country, which
also seeing many ads for.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is going to be right up Alicia's avenue here. So it was like Rachel Dratch and Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, and Anna Gasteyer. Some of the biggest women comics out there, and it's pretty dang funny. It's what I thought it was. They play a group of basically lifelong friends who come together to celebrate Rachel Dratch's character's 50th birthday. It's a lot about women and friendships and ups and downs and how they relate to each other. But
and I heard Amy Poehler say these are they're all kind of exaggerated versions of themselves.
Yeah,
and a lot of the things spring from trips they've actually taken.
Yeah.
Like scenarios that pop up or things that actually happened, taken to extreme.
Yeah, it's fun. So we enjoyed that. It was Netflix comedy, so not outstanding, but pretty good.
Oh, we forgot to mention that Westworld trailer we got.
Yeah.
Were you excited?
Oh, it looked pretty good, but it could also be the half of the first episode, and then who knows? Right back to whatever.
It came on? Did you see it like organically because it was on before Game of Thrones?
No, it wasn't on before Game of Thrones for me.
Okay, because it came on and I was just watching. I'm like, what am I? I didn't realize what I was watching.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was Westworld.
I like Aaron Paul.
Yeah,
and I mean it looked great. I love Westworld. I'm glad they're doing something different. I'm glad the story's moving forward and everything. So yes, it did look great.
Do we still call it Westworld?
I'm still calling. I'm sure they're going to still call it Westworld.
He was not riding a horse.
They're going to have to change it.
Yeah. So
I'm psyched for it.
If anybody hasn't, if you haven't watched Westworld, or if you're a big fan, go back and listen to. Way back in the archives, listen to all Seth's commentary. Take a ride through Westworld with us. It's pretty crazy. Especially season 1.
Great show. Yeah. So the second season was still good, but it was so convoluted.
Yeah.
It's still enjoyable. So I like this. Looks a little more simple. I'm looking forward to that.
And I like the world building.
Yeah.
I got some flack, I believe, from some people in this room saying I like the second season better than the first, because the first season had almost no world building. We didn't know anything that was going on outside the theme park, and I liked learning more. And this seems like we're going to open it up even more. We're going to learn what the fallout of all this stuff.
Does that do it for streaming?
I think so.
Right.
How can you read this? There's no pictures.
Well, some people use their imagination.
Well, I must hurry back to my comic book store where I dispense the insults rather than absorb them.
Happens all the time. Read a comic book, okay?
All right. Now everyone can tune out if you're done with this episode. We don't do comic news all the time, but some big things have happened recently. Tom King is leaving Batman involuntarily, basically.
This is crazy to me.
Since early in his run, Tom King is one of the most acclaimed writers in comics at the moment. He's been on Batman since the Rebirth era, issue 1, build up to issue 50 and the Catwoman wedding, and before then he was telling everyone it's a 100-issue plan.
Mm-hmm.
From issue 1, basically, he was setting up all this stuff with Bane, all these mental problems Batman was having, the Catwoman relationship, Thomas Wayne from the Flashpoint era. Like, he was building this whole story for 100 issues. And we learned this week he's issue 85. He has been shown the door.
Is it that bad?
It's, for me personally, it's Tom King is love him or hate him. And when he does something really good, it's very good. But when it's off, I can almost not stand to read it. The Vision for Marvel, people loved. He did Omega Men from DC. He did Mr. Miracle, 12-issue series.
Yeah.
So he's Sheriff of Babylon for Vertigo, kind of a modern-day war story. So those were all super critically acclaimed, and then he's given the flagship book. Batman is the number one selling book in the world. And sales have been going down. I can attest to my store it has. I'm not sure about the nationwide numbers. I know it has been... It's trending down, but I know for a fact it's down at my store. And I even had a guy this week, someone else in the store was complaining about it. A guy who's had Batman on his pull list the whole time I've known him was like, yeah, I kind of hate it too. I'm just kind of waiting for him to leave. Like he's still getting it to keep that run intact, but he really is not enjoying it. So I'm like, I have some anecdotal evidence that it's not really
Sounds
working.
Like the Avengers run I'm reading.
Yeah.
I was like, I
love selling books to people that hate them.
Yeah.
Selling books out of spite.
Yeah. I just gotta peg them and put them in.
That's where the industry is. So we're in the midst of Year of the Villain, the whole DC thing, and he was building this whole big story. City of Bane was starting in issue 75 with artist Tony Daniel. And it was all going to kick off to issue 100, and the rugs have been pulled out from under him. It came out on Bleeding Cool first, and people were like, yeah, Bleeding Cools are rumor mongers. And then Tom King tweeted, hey, thanks for the support, everybody. Instead of saying, no, it's not true, it's a lie. So it was obvious something was up. So I just saw today they put out some actually official news, and it is official. He's leaving. He is doing a 12-issue Batman Catwoman series with Clay Mann, the artist. They're not calling it a replacement for the 20 issues he's not getting, but it has to be to wrap up that story. Yeah. It's kind of their Bruce and Selina's kind of swan song for him. They had Bob Harris come out and make a statement. We're making changes to our comic book publishing line to set DC up for continued success. We're starting with the best-selling Batman comic. It's an incredible story and an integral part of our overall campaign and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, and Tom King came out and said, it's tough to leave Batman. It's a gift and a joy to be on that book, but I'm leaving it to work on the biggest, most ambitious projects of my career, comics I get to make with the best collaborators, and that's a gift and a joy too. So everyone's being cool about it. No one's, making statements and throwing blame around, but I know it's been big news of like a lot of the message boards and things of, I'm committing to this storyline and you're not going to let me read the end of it, versus, DC's a business and if sales are down, they got to make a change. So it's been some spirited debate in the comic book world this week, as is the comic fans are wont to do. We also got news. Squirrel Girl is ending with issue 50.
Isn't that super popular or no? Or just critically acclaimed?
It's critically acclaimed, and the sales are terrific in trade paperback and digital, but monthly sales are not. Monthly comic sales aren't great. They said it's not being canceled. Ryan North, the writer, Derek Charm is the artist. He took over for the original artist Erica Henderson. They said they've reached the end of the story they wanted to tell, and they're ready to move on and do something different. So they're just going to end it on their terms where they want to. It's gone. The first volume was just 8 issues, and then it relaunched with a new number 1. So there's been 58 issues. They did an original graphic novel, and it won the 2017 Eisner Best Publications for Teens. And I'm going to go out and make a bold prediction right now. Looking back on this 10, 20, 100 years from now, these 50 issues of Squirrel Girl are going to mean more than the 100 issues of Tom King's Batman. Put a sound effect in there, like mic dropping or whatever. Yeah. But yes, right now, Batman, obviously he said bestseller, whatever. Squirrel Girl has had such an impact that we can't even see right now. This book launched It's the book. I love it. There's a segment of fandom who they hate the art. It's too cartoony. It's not realistic. It's dumb. It's juvenile. It's cheesy. But for the audience it's written for, it is wonderful. And she solves problems with compassion and like talking to the villains and figuring out, outsmarting them, doing clever things with. She's a computer programming student, so for some reason all the plans somehow revolve around programming computers and the what do you call that language, ones and zeros and stuff.
Binary.
Yeah, binary. So
yeah, but this is a character, like this character is so popular it spawned a Disney XD cartoon.
Yeah, the Marvel Rising cartoon. She's kind of the main star of it. There have been at least 2 novel spin-offs for young readers. She's supposed to be the star of this pilot, the New Warriors show they're making. It opened the door. The characters Gwenpool had her own ongoing. The Unstoppable Wasp, Ironheart, all these female solo comics about these strong female heroes who are also compassionate and smart and cool and have a big group of friends supporting them. Like I said, the sales are not great on the monthly issues, but the number of kids picking these up in at book fairs and libraries, and every letters column in the book, people send in photos of their cosplay and art they made, and it's like, this is the first comic I ever read, and I love it. So there's going to be a whole generation of readers 10 or 15 years from now that this is the book they're going to look back on with that nostalgia that we have for books in the 90s or the 80s or whatever. So there's going to be a whole generation of creators that read books like this, and that is going to impact whatever the future comics goes. I'm not sure if Squirrel Girl is the ground zero for all this, but it's going to be an important cog. So record this on some sort of recording device and play it back generations from now and tell me if I'm right.
This, out of all the things you've ever said.
This is the limb I'm going out on. Wow. This will be my limb.
That this critically acclaimed comic book will be more well regarded than the one that everybody hates.
No, I'm saying it will have a bigger cultural impact.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
That it outsells Squirrel Girl by factors of 10, but it'll be like, oh yeah, didn't he almost get married to Catwoman? Like, no one will remember the details.
Right.
Squirrel Girl will be revered.
Wow.
I've never read it. I'd like to read some of it. Wait, I'm reading the best comic on the shelves.
Is it in that box you gave me?
No. I gave Jordan a box of comics to get this crap out of my house.
Many of it I sold to him less than a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even need the last issue of Heroes in Crisis. The ass fell out of that last month. Anyway. Spider-Man Life Story. Did we ever say anything about it before? If we did, you have to hear about it again for a minute.
I just mentioned that it was coming out, or had come out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You said something about it. And I was like, I need to get me some of that, and it's great. We've only had 3 issues of 6, and it's really great. It follows every decade of his life as if he, didn't constantly stay a young Peter Parker. He grows up with the eras. We're in the 80s now, so he's in his 40s.
Yeah, so it posits he got his powers at 15 in 1962.
Okay.
The first issue takes place in 1967. He's in college. Then we jump to the 70s. He's married to Gwen.
That was a great issue.
Aunt May's getting older. The next issue was in the 80s.
Secret Wars.
Aunt May has lost her stuff, her marbles, and Peter's lost a step. He's physically not as able. So hey, this cool new symbiote suit. It's gonna make me pretty sweet.
It's great. I love it. It's quirky. It's not. I was telling you the other day just how it's not like, oh well, what would happen if this? No. They're just doing whatever they want. They're like, yeah, a little bit of that, but go ahead and just go oddball directions. And I think it's really good. I love it's Bagley art, right? I love the art. Chip Zdarsky. Now I've heard his name. What else did he do?
He's writing Daredevil right now. He got mostly known for Sex Criminals from Image.
Okay, yeah, I have the first trade of that. Anyway, I love it's the best thing I've read this year in comics.
Did you have the same opinion of Heroes in Crisis?
I'm only halfway through issue 7. I had to put it down the other day and help.
In a rage?
I liked issue 7.
Yeah,
right?
I mean it's
issue 8.
Is what it
I
is.
did not care for.
Oh, have you?
I haven't picked up.
You haven't
8.
picked up issue 8.
No. I like.
It's in that box in there.
Yeah, you want
it's
to
in the box.
have it.
Yeah.
No, you go buy it.
No, I do like the. So far, I've liked the booster. Anything booster and Beetle, if it's done,
I like
halfway
it.
decent.
I mean,
I love that stuff.
I look at 2 different ways. I don't like events, and I like events. Like I don't like the events just for to do it. Yeah. But as a fan of Identity Crisis, I like those kind of things when it's a single story of epic proportions. I'm like, okay, so I was into something like this.
Yeah, and the interaction between Booster and Beetle as the ultimate bromance, of course, in DC books, but the interaction they were having with Batgirl working with crazy Harley Quinn, and she's trying to keep her in check. Like I like that stuff. Yeah.
Well, get back to us when you read issue 8. They kind of reveal what happened.
Yeah.
We'll see if it. Because I know some people. This is again, Tom King got death threats over that.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway,
and you read Galaxy's Edge first issue?
Yeah, and it was fine.
This is
it was a kind of a what I thought it was going to be, a preview, more or less, of some things from Disneyland and Hollywood Studios, the very soon upcoming Star Wars Galaxy's Edge happenings in the planet of Batu and Dok-Ondar and some other places around the land.
If you're going to visit Disney and the new Star Wars world, this kind of populates it with some mythology.
Right.
Yeah, the first page mentioned Ronto's Roasters.
Yes, which you heard it here first, people. It's not Kenny Roger Roasters. So
it did enough to tide you over for your trip.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm getting very excited about it.
I'm not even going, and I'm excited.
Yeah, super excited. So I called Disney today, in fact. So, anyways,
is there a day you don't call Disney?
Some days
they call. Sometimes they call.
Yeah, just check in.
Devil's Due got a cease and desist order from DC Comics. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez is causing troubles again.
Oh my.
They put out that one-shot AOC and the Freedom Force, new party, who dis. Just sort of a, hopping on what's hot right now, talking politics, and a bunch of short stories in this one-shot. There's one where everyone in Congress is like a wrestler, and they're facing off in the ring, and there's some set in some post-apocalyptic world, and there's a few more serious infographics with charts and graphs and information. So, and kind of an odd book, but Devil's Due has done that. They've done Barack the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
They did a couple things like that. Well, they did a variant cover for a store in New York. Artist Carla Cohen did a print run of 250. These are these store exclusive variants you can only get through certain stores. And she painted her as Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And the store was selling for $30. Well, Devil's Due, and I've heard the store got a cease and desist as well, but I'm not sure. I couldn't quite fact check that. Asked to recall, return, or destroy all these. And last I looked, they were selling for $2,000 on eBay.
Wow.
It was a very beautiful image, very fully painted, of her in a Wonder Woman suit with an A where the W would be, obviously. And it's obviously a parody.
Yeah.
No one's going to confuse this for an issue of Wonder Woman. I don't get why DC flipped out about this. But apparently Fox News picked up the story because they talk about AOC all day, every day. And this has caused a huge spike. People ordering the book from Dynamite's website, not ordering that cover.
Yeah.
There's a different cover where she sort of looks like Wonder Woman. It's the main variant cover. She's in kind of a gray skirt and armor, and it's obviously a parody. It looks nothing like Wonder Woman, and people are buying that like crazy, thinking it's the one. The lawsuit is about. Mm-hmm. So retention and listening skills are being tested and not going very well. Don't buy books for $2,000 on eBay, folks. It's not a good idea.
Unless I'm selling them.
I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even do. Actually, Devil's Due, the last con I went to, they had a booth set up there. Josh Blaylock was selling these books, had stacks of them, and I'd had a customer order them, and he said, "Can I get both covers?" It was the main cover and the Wonder Woman cover, not the
the other one,
other one, and I couldn't get it through Diamond, so I was at this con, like, I'll pick that up for my customer. He'll love me. I'll get him a cover. He's like, regulars are $5, variants are $10. I'm like, I don't love my customer that much. Because I don't know if he even wanted to pay $10 for it, so I might have got stuck with it, so I didn't buy it. But yeah, there were stacks of these books. These are not rare books by any means. It is only one specific cover that is very rare. So don't fall for it.
Scourge of old white men everywhere.
Comic books?
Sure.
You're right. Speaking of old, is coming up on the 80th anniversary of Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics #1 went on sale August 31st, 1939. So they're putting out Marvel Comics number 1000 this August.
Yeah, this is weird. I saw something a little bit about this.
Mathematically, it makes no sense.
Right.
We've just had Action Comics 1000, Detective Comics 1000, so...
Yeah. So back off, Marvel.
Yeah, we have to just... Let's do 1,000. Get there. They could have called it Marvel 80th, spectacular. The 1,000 means nothing, except it's just a big round number. But it is 80 pages long, and it's an interesting format. I'm down for this. The first panel from the issue comes from that issue #1 in 1939. And then each page afterward correlates to a year of Marvel history.
Yeah, it's by year, isn't it?
Yeah, so each page has a different creative team and takes up a year of history. It was all put together by Al Ewing, the writer. Got an Alex Ross cover, one of the 50 variant covers. And it has something called the Eternity Mask. There's been some conspiracy since the dawn of Marvel Comics to keep this artifact hidden, and it's going to weave through the entire history of Marvel Comics through 80 pages. They are bringing in, current writers like Gail Simone, Chip Zdarsky, Saladin Ahmed, Jason Aaron, Mike Allred, John Cassaday, Donny Cates, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Eve Ewing, Jonathan Hickman, Lionel Yu, and Dan Slott. They're bringing back some of the old favorites like Roy Thomas, Chris Claremont, Peter David, Jerry Conway, Adam Kubert, Kurt Busiek, Neil Gaiman, Eric Larson, Rob Liefeld, Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, George Perez, Brad Meltzer, Walt Simonson, J. Michael Straczynski, Mark Waid, and Joe Quesada. And they're also bringing in folks from completely outside the comic book world. And the editor said something like, these are some people who've mentioned Marvel Comics before in their other work. We know they're fans, so we want to help integrate them. A couple of those, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, the directors of Into the Spider-Verse, right?
Heard of it.
Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, I guess.
Okay.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
All right.
It's one page. I think you can get through it. Joe Hill, one of your favorite authors.
No, he's
a comic person as well, but
right now he must just be writing. Oh, he keeps saying, "Well, as a comic writer, writer." He thinks he's only a comic writer right now, but yeah.
And Adam F. Goldberg
from the Goldbergs.
He's writing one too. So I'm down for this. It costs $9.99.
Yeah, I want that. You may get it back, but
it'll be in the next box.
I just don't. I was discussing before we start when we were waiting on Cliff that I was just kind of going through my comics, and I just don't want to just store comics forever that I don't like.
Your exact words were they don't spark joy.
Yeah, they don't spark joy was the best way to explain it. It's like I have tons of comics that do. I can get them out, look at them, reread them, but just seeing them, knowing they're in there, I love them. From the ones I've always loved, but then there's ones like I buy a lot of comics that aren't good. I read them once and then they get put in the box. I'm like, why? So it's get them out there in the world. Maybe someone else will enjoy them.
Hand them down, hand them off, pass them out.
That's right. They're not doing anybody any good setting them there.
Yeah. I love that idea. In fact, someone who we don't name anymore, he used to do that with my kids. He would, bring over boxes of comics for them all the time, just to read and say, hey, if there's anything here you want, take it and enjoy.
Couldn't go one episode.
Couldn't. It comes out. Okay.
All right. Last but not least, I could talk about this for hours, and I'm not going to. But no one else on the planet wants to talk about it with me. So
I kind of want to guess what
you guys are my captive audience here in this room and at home.
What's he going to talk about, Cliff?
There are charts involved. I've got a pie chart.
It's a pie.
Pie? Oh my gosh! You have a pie chart, all different colors, like 50 things on it. What could it be?
He printed that out in color. That's like extra money, right?
Kinds of
pie.
Bigfoot sightings.
Ooh. We're in the comic book section.
Oh. I don't know.
The 2018 book scan numbers have been crunched. Come on.
What? The book scan. What are book scan numbers?
Book scan.
What are you doing?
Let me tell you, Cliff. Feel free to unplug this at any time.
We're an hour and 20 minutes. Nobody is left listening. They were out at like 30.
All right, so we're not getting into the pie chart then. I'll cut that part out. I'll just hurry through this. Book scan is how we know how many books are sold in America. To all the bookstores and Amazon. It keeps track of. It's like the New York Times bestseller list, but for everything. And every year, Brian Hibbs, he's a retailer from San Francisco. He keeps track of all this stuff, and he crunches all the numbers, makes all the graphs, and it's all on comicsbeat.com. I'll put a link to it if you have any interest in looking at this. But these are the numbers. This is all graphic novels. This is not monthly comic books, and it does not include things like school book fairs or library sales or even the direct market. This has nothing to do with no, wait, it does have Diamond. Never mind. What am I saying? Yeah. So, but it's mostly, I said, bookstores.
Okay.
And they release. He looks at the 750 graphic novels. There are more, but these are like the most. Some are selling like a dozen.
So you're saying
through Amazon. So.
And just in 2018, what was the highest selling graphic novel is what we're supposed to guess. That's what you're trying to
yeah, we could turn it into a game. That'll be more fun.
Yeah. You already know the answers. Otherwise, you could have probably guessed a lot better than us.
No, I couldn't. That's the point of my thing here.
Then I have no idea.
You would never guess. We could sit here all night and you would never guess. Because the direct market comic book stores in America have no impact whatsoever on the sales of graphic novels. 19 of the top 20 best-selling books are young reader books. These numbers blow everything superhero out of the water by huge margins. The top 1, 2, 3, 4. The top 6 titles are all by the same author, Dave Pilkey.
Oh, Dave.
See your favorite? He was the creator of Captain Underpants.
Yeah.
His newest is Dog Man.
Okay.
It's a superhero who's a dog. The top 6 selling books in the world are Dog Man graphic novels. He sold 2.6 million copies. 2.6 million copies in one series. 13% of all comics sold were this author, this series. 13% of every graphic novel sold was a Dave Pilkey Dogman graphic novel.
Why are we making such a big deal out of Tom King right now?
Amen. And the sad thing is, I will admit, I had not heard of this book till maybe 6 months ago. I get a catalog every month. I get emails. I get 10 emails a day telling me, oh, you should order this series. Be sure and check out this series. I did not know until I crunched these numbers. I don't know. The second best, Raina Telgemeier. Drama, Smile, Sister. She does these middle grade novels for young girls. Ann Martin does the Babysitter's Club graphic novels. Big Nate. Phoebe and Her Unicorn. Jesse Starcher knows that one. He did a podcast with his daughter with that one. That one's number 19 of the top 20. The first volume of that one. And these are... I said, Batman does not does not impact this whatsoever. Only one book in the top 20 is not young readers, and it's the Adventure Zone graphic novel, which is a big gaming RPG podcast. They've done the second one's coming out soon, but the first one has broken out in a big way. So again, very mainstream. Yeah. Again, I had not heard of that. I didn't know it was a podcast until I see this list. I'm like, I should probably order some of that. Somebody might want that. Oh yeah. The number one manga book, My Hero Academia, doesn't hit the chart till number 25. The first superhero on the list is at 29, The Infinity Gauntlet. So a book from 1991 was the best-selling comic of the year. Superhero comic.
See, now that might have been a guess. Probably the first 10 guesses I would have had been that. None of the first 28 on your list would have been in there.
So he crunched the top 18 authors who sold more than 100,000 copies, and they represent 58% of sales. So more than half of all sales are by one of these 18 authors on this list, and his deduction is that probably means that most comics aren't that profitable. If you have these 18 authors, it's hard to make a living in comics. You have these 18 authors get 58% of the pie, and everybody else is sharing the rest. It's insane. And there are only two, Brian K. Vaughan and Robert Kirkman are the only two, quote-unquote, mainstream comic guys on the list, both Image authors. And so all these same numbers, the Dave Pilkey, Raina Telgemeier, the guy who does My Hero Academia, author of Big Nate, Amulet, Babysitter's Club, Phoebe's the Unicorn, the Pajama Diaries, One Punch Man, Legend of Zelda, Pirates vs. Zombies, like Plants vs. not Pirates vs. Zombies.
Excited.
Again, manga is big, and kids' books are big, and superheroes are not. So he did the top 10 publishers. I'm not going to go through it all, but number one is Scholastic. And they have 33% of the market share.
That's no surprise.
Scholastic started publishing graphic novels in 2005 with the Bone series. So since 2005, barely a decade, they have a third of the pie. I added up all the other publishers, Marvel, Image, IDW, DC, Dark Horse, the publishers I buy from, the people in my store buy, they have 31% of the pie. So one publisher has a third. All the quote-unquote, comic publishers have a third, and everybody else splits a third. Andrews McNeil, Penguin, Random House, Macmillan, all the HarperCollins, all the book publishers. And the direct market is missing all of this. I have none of this audience. Nowhere from Diamond. And they said at least one of the books on the top 20, Diamond doesn't even carry. It's a Minecraft book. And they said it's not even available through Diamond. So we have ignored this enormous marketplace. They're not coming to comic stores. And like we said, this does not even count the Scholastic. Scholastic has their own book fairs. They're in every school in the country.
Audience.
So this 33% of the pie is probably small potatoes to what they're selling in school libraries every year.
Yeah.
That's not tracked through BookScan. So, they 4.5 million copies they sold through. Scholastic has 58 books. Made 4.5 million copies, which was a 67% growth from last year, which the year before they were up 42% from 2016. So in 2017 they went up 42%. 2018 they went up 67%. So Scholastic is taking over the world of reading. If you have a young tween reader, they're probably reading these books.
Sounds like it's time to reorganize Asylum Comics.
That's the thing. That's the sad part. I have a large kids section.
Yeah, you do.
And I actively try to stock it with the best stuff, and I don't know this stuff because it's not being sold to me. They don't put a star in the catalog saying, "Hey, dummy, this is the best-selling book on the planet. Take a look." It's somewhere on the bottom of the page, at the end of the book, that I don't even know. Maybe I'm failing in this, that I'm not doing all this research.
I can send, for a small.
I'm looking at a pie chart over here. I feel like you're doing due diligence.
For a small fee, I can send my 12-year-old daughter over to consult.
So yeah, Scholastic's number 1, Andrews McMeel, the number 2 publisher, Penguin Random House, the number 3 publisher, Holtzbrink, the number 4 publisher. I've never heard of them. 5, HarperCollins. It's not until number 6 we get to Image Comics. They had 42 titles selling 402,000 copies, which is a huge drop. They sold 909,000 last year. If not for Saga, the first volume and the most recent volume.
Super great comic.
Walking Dead, which sales are starting to sag a little bit on that. That's kind of keeping Image up there. Marvel comes in at number 7. They had a small drop in the number of titles sold, but a small rise in the dollar amount, meaning they have raised prices, as Marvel is, again, want to do. Their number 1 seller was the Infinity Gauntlet. Number 2 was Black Panther, first volume from Ta-Nehisi Coates. And their third best-selling was Infinity War. So these
are all driven by movies.
Media tie-ins. Number 8 publisher was DC, which DC had been the top. They had the best backlist in comics. All the Vertigo books, Sandman, Preacher. These books sell forever. Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Dark Knight Returns. These are evergreen books that have sold forever. When Scholastic took over, DC was still a strong number 2. And for some reason, DC fell off a cliff this year. And the guy doing this thing, he said, I don't even understand it. I've looked at these numbers and it makes no sense how their sales have plummeted so much. Their number 1 seller was Watchmen. Sold 27,000 copies, down from 31 last year. Dark Knight's Metal was number 2, which is the newest book. Sold 19,000 copies. Killing Joke was down from 36,000 and sold to 17,000. V for Vendetta was at 18,000, only sold 14,000. So even these evergreen books are selling less than they have. And his quip was the layoffs make more sense now. DC has kind of reorganized some stuff and fired some people. So something has happened. I don't know if it's all the reboots making things confusing. Everyone has these books already. I don't know. No big media presence from these books. I don't know, but something happened at DC. So yeah, we're direct market is healthy. So yeah, if anyone wants to talk about this, I'll be at Asylum forever. Come in and talk to me about it. I'll show you my pie chart.
Bring your own pie chart. We'll compare.
I'm saying there's an awful lot of people out there that want to read comics.
Yeah.
And they're not getting them from comic book stores because comic stores are not appealing to that audience with what they want. So we need to fix that.
Starts at home.
I'm going to order some Dog Man. Stat.
Yeah. You better get on it. Dog Man.
Dave Pilkey.
Never heard of it. All right, we did it.
Yeah. Yeah, real quick. Hour and a half in. Hope you're still with us. If you don't remember by now, iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, stream us on Spotify. Anywhere you can find a podcast. We even have a YouTube page now. Look us up.
Yay.
We have one video. It's not very good, but check it out.
Yeah, our Riverdale game.
Running around the Dale.
Ran around Riverdale.
Yeah, so, hit us up on, you can email us, Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast, at gmail.com. Hit us up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, at the Ka-Pow Podcast, correct? Email, Twitter,
We make it easy for you.
Yeah, sure we do.
Hey, thanks everybody. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com.